If you have a fair shop that's already making some sales, but the orders are still inconsistent, retailers aren't reordering, and you still cannot figure out why, I need you to hear this. It's not because you're not working hard enough, and it's not because your products aren't good enough. It's because you're flying blind. And there is data sitting in your fair dashboard right now telling you exactly what's working and what's broken. But no one has ever taught you how to read it. And so you spend time just guessing. I know because I've been there. And you change random things and hope something sticks. And here's what that guessing actually cost you. The average fair seller doing around 10 orders a month is leaving somewhere between $17,000 and $70,000 in profit on the table every single year just by staying stuck. My name is Andee, and I built and scaled my own wholesale brand on Fair from the ground up. And I'm one of a handful of sellers and industry experts that Fair pulls in to test the platform, which means I see how the algorithm actually behaves, not what the forums and the other coaches are teaching you, but what Fair actually rewards. And I took everything I learned and turned it into the Fair 5 framework. It's a 3-phase system that moves you from inconsistent orders to a predictable wholesale revenue engine in just 90 days. It's visibility, it's positioning, it's conversion, it's reorders, and a momentum that compounds. So this is not just a course that you watch once and forget. It's a growth operating system. Just a few extra wholesale orders, which you will gain quickly throughout this program, will more than pay for this course. So if you're done playing small and fair, if you're ready to stop guessing and go beyond the visibility and drive real conversions and reorders and get help along the way, learn more and apply at fairaccelerator.com or at the link in the show notes. I'll see you inside. When someone asks you what you do, what do you say? Do you say, I make candles, or I make jewelry, or I run a little Etsy shop? Here's what I want you to hear today. The word little is doing a lot of damage to your business because there's a version of you that walks into a retailer with confidence, lands wholesale accounts, and wakes up to purchase orders instead of wondering if anyone is going to click add to cart today. That's the version of you that isn't a maker. She's a wholesale CEO. And today I'm giving you the 5 shifts to get there. Welcome to She Sells Differently. Hi, friends. Welcome to She Sells Differently, the show for aspiring women entrepreneurs looking to overcome the fear of selling and grow thriving businesses from a place of authenticity and confidence. I'm Andee Hart, and it wasn't all that long ago that I was a sales executive for a Fortune 500 company. But I knew in my heart that I was called to use my gifts for something more, something different. That's exactly why I created the She Sells Differently podcast. Each episode is going to deliver you business strategies, tools, and mindset shifts to help set you and your brand apart from our culture's expectations. It's time to elevate your sales and build a profitable, sustainable business you're proud of, one built on integrity, grace, and humility. It's time to learn how to sell differently. Hey, welcome back to the She Sells Differently podcast. I'm your host, Andee Hart. And if you're new here, welcome. This show is for product-based business owners who are done playing small and ready to build real scalable revenue and sell in a way that is authentic to how God created them. So I'm glad that you're here. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about this pattern that I'm constantly seeing with my clients and inside the She Sells Differently Facebook group, which, by the way, if you're not a part of, feel free to search for She Sells Differently and join because we have a lot of really good conversations in there. What I'm seeing is product makers who have incredible products. Their stuff is genuinely retail ready, but they're still operating from a maker mindset instead of a CEO mindset. And that gap is costing you revenue and a lot of confidence. And so today we're going to dive deep on 5 specific shifts that will move you from I make things and hope people buy them to I run a wholesale business and I know how to grow it. And these aren't just mindset tips, but they're practical identity level reframes that will change how you make decisions, how you show up to your buyers, and how you actually build your business. So, that being said, let's get into it. And we're going to start by talking why the maker identity is keeping you stuck in the first place. Because we have to name something that might make us feel uncomfortable. But naming it and that maker identity, it's beautiful, but it's where most of us started. It's why we love what we do. But when that maker identity becomes the only identity, it creates a ceiling. And here's what I mean by that. Makers think about the craft. They think about creating, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But CEOs think about the business, and that might scare you, but we're going to talk through that. Makers ask questions like, did I make something beautiful today? A CEO asks, did my business move forward today? Makers wait for customers to find them, where CEOs build systems to reach buyers at scale. And neither is bad, but only one of them builds a sustainable wholesale business. And the reason this matters so much is because wholesale is a relationship business, a systems business, a strategy business. It rewards the CEO brain and not just the creative brain. And so if you've been wondering why you keep stalling, maybe you listened to last week's episode where I talked about stalling at 20 to 50K and how to get to your first 100K. If you did not check that out, go listen to episode 225. But if you are wondering on the mindset and the practical shifts that you need to make in your thinking and how you even talk about your business, then I want you to consider that the gap is probably most likely not in your products. It's really in the way that you are thinking about your identity as a maker versus a CEO. So the part most people miss, you don't have to give up being a maker to become a CEO. I do not want anyone to think that, but you have to add another layer. And so we're going to talk about those 5 shifts. And it's also important to remember that oftentimes you can't add this layer on your own. You need help from someone that has been there before you, from a community of fellow wholesale CEOs. And so I'm also going to talk about that too as part of my Fair Accelerator that is launching, because that is exactly what it's designed to do. So the first shift is moving from I hope my customer likes it to I know the value that my products provide. And it's how you perceive your own products when you walk into a conversation with a potential customer or a retail partner. And I feel this one down to my core because this is the one I struggled with making that shift. But most makers will approach buyers, whether on fair or any kind of direct outreach, from a place of hope. I hope they like my stuff. I hope it's good enough. I hope they don't think it's too expensive. And that energy is legible. Buyers feel it. When you are trying to sell and you do not come from a place of confidence in the value that you, your brand, your products bring, buyers feel that immediately. And so the first shift, the wholesale CEO shift, is moving from hope to certainty. And I'm not talking about arrogance. I'm talking about certainty, knowing that your product solves a real problem for a real retailer and their customers. Now, you might be thinking, Andee, I just make candles. There's not really a real problem that I'm solving. Absolutely, you are solving a problem. First off, you're solving a problem for your retail partners because they are looking for beautiful products that will sell well in their store. Second, you're solving a problem for a customer because you are providing a gift that they can give someone. You are providing something that makes their home feel more cozy, more like a home instead of a house. And so just because we are not looking at life or death problems does not mean that your products don't solve a real problem. And the second part of that shift is knowing and having the confidence that your margins are clean. If you missed episode 224, where I talked a lot about margins and how to determine your pricing, pause, go listen to that episode because it's so good and valuable. And then the next part of that shift is knowing your brand story and making sure that it is compelling. So here's the practical way to make that shift. I'm not just going to tell you to make that shift and then say, go figure it out. I want you to write out your product's quote retail case. And what does that mean? That means think about, why does a boutique owner need this on her shelves? What does it do for her customers? What does it do for her bottom line? That is your retail case. And when you can answer that clearly and stop hoping that they'll like it, then you start showing them why it works for their store. And like I say all the time, hope is not a strategy. So let's move on to shift number 2. You're going from I make products to I run a brand. And this one's big because makers make products. CEOs run brands. And a product is a thing. A brand is a story, a promise, a reason someone chooses you over every other option on the shelf. And when retailers, especially boutique owners, are deciding what to stock, they're not just buying a product, they're buying into a brand story that they can then sell to their customers. And they want to be able to say, we carry this because, and fill in the blank. And that is all a part of your brand story. So the shift here is to start talking about your business like a brand, not just a product line. And what that means is that you're going to have a clear who it's for, a clear why it exists, a visual identity that holds everything together. So a brand voice that's consistent across every single touch point. And if your fair shop looks like a random collection of things that you made, that's a maker shop. If it looks like a cohesive brand with a clear customer and a clear story, that's a wholesale brand. I have seen a lot of makers that make their products, create their products with the hope that someone will like it instead of with the intention of who their actual customer is, which results in a cohesive, beautiful brand and a brand story. The third shift is going from I'll figure out pricing later to my numbers are my foundation. And let me tell you what I see all the time when working with my clients. A maker has gorgeous products, great branding, solid reviews, and then she starts scaling wholesale and her margins fall apart. And she's moving volume, but not actually making money. Sometimes she's actually losing money. And this happens because pricing was never built from the bottom up. It was built from what feels fair or what other people charge. This is where, if you have not listened to episode 224, go back and listen to that episode. It's so good in helping you with different ways and 2 hacks to reframe your pricing. So the wholesale CEO shift here is treating your numbers as your foundation. It is not an afterthought. And your pricing needs to start with your cost of goods and then layer in your time, your overhead, desired profit margin, and the reality of wholesale market and any future promotions that you may put on those products. So I won't go through all of that again here because, as I mentioned, episode 224 does a really great job of talking through my 2 pricing methodologies. So it's not complicated, but it does require you to sit down and actually do it. And once you do, trust me, everything gets so much clearer. What you can afford to make, what you should discontinue. Man, I see makers struggle with that all the time, discontinuing products, maybe because they sold 1 or 2 of them last year, but that is not a best seller and it's costing you money to keep those products. So this will help you realize what you can afford to make, what you should discontinue, and what your growth ceiling actually is. Now, moving on to shift 4, we are moving from I'll reach out when I'm ready to I have a sales system. And here's where so many makers stay stuck the longest because they're almost ready. They're ready. And they just need to make a few tweaks to be retail ready or finalize a packaging or maybe get a few more reviews on Fair or feel more confident. And the almost ready turns into months, sometimes years. The wholesale CEO doesn't wait for perfect situation and perfect confidence before building. And she builds a system, and the confidence comes from the action. I have told you guys time and again, I have learned so much from the mistakes that I made early on in my business that gave me the confidence to grow to where it is today. So a sales system it should not be complicated. It's knowing who I'm targeting, how I'm reaching out, what I am saying, how I am following up. What does my fair shop do to convert when someone lands on it? These are those 5 questions. These are answered when they're answered clearly. They are a sales system. And if you need to get started on a sales system, if you're brand new to wholesale, now not if you already have established accounts, but if you're brand new to wholesale, then check out my Retail Ready Challenge. It's $25. It will get you started with a great, proven sales system. You're not winging it every time. You're not reinventing the wheel with every outreach. You wake up knowing what to do, and that consistency is what builds a wholesale business over time. Now, shift 5, we're moving from I just want to make things to I'm building a business. This is key that works without me. And this is the CEO shift, and it's the hardest one because if you're being honest, part of the appeal of being a maker is that it's all yours. You control everything, you make every decision, you touch every product, but that model does not scale. The wholesale CEO starts asking different questions like, what can I document as a standard operating procedure? What can I delegate? What can I automate? She's thinking about systems that run without her constant involvement because that's what creates freedom. Friend, you want to be able to just take a step back, spend time with your family, your kids, go on vacation, and your business still runs without you. And that is shift number 5. It doesn't mean you stop caring or stop being creative. It means you build a business that supports the creative work instead of burning you out doing everything manually. I have been guilty of this one before too. So even if you're a one-person shop right now, I want you to start thinking like this. I want you to document your processes. I want you to build templates for things that need a repeatable template. I want you to use tools like Fair's automation features, their email sequences, and batch production systems. And every step you take toward building a business that doesn't depend entirely on you, friend, that is a step toward the wholesale CEO that you are becoming. So here's your action item for the next 48 hours. I want you to pick one of these 5 shifts, and I'll review them again here in a minute, and identify where you currently are on the spectrum. Are you pricing from feeling? Are you waiting until you're ready? Are you introducing your business as just a little thing I do? Name the shift you need most, write it down, and then take one concrete action toward it this week. Just one shift, one action. That's how transformation actually happens. Not all at once, but one decision at a time. So here's the quick recap of the 5 shifts. 1, moving from I hope they like it to I know my value. 2, moving from I make products to I run a brand. 3, from I'll figure out my pricing later to my numbers are my foundation. Number 4, from I'll reach out when I'm ready to I have a sales system. And number 5, from I just want to make and create things to I'm building a business that works without me. And this is critical to make these 5 shifts from moving from a hobby-based business and maker to the wholesale CEO that you know and I know you are capable of. These shifts are not about losing who you are. They're about expanding into who you are becoming and your calling with this business. So if this episode resonated and you're ready to go deeper on building your wholesale business, I want to invite you to check out my Fair Accelerator. It's a high-touch 90-day program designed specifically for product brands and product owners who are ready to 10x their Fair revenue and earn their first or next 100K on Fair. And this is not just a course that you buy and forget. It's high impact, high support program for those that are actually ready to take their product business to the next level and make the shift to wholesale CEO. You can find the details, the link in the show notes or at fairaccelerator.com. The doors are opening very soon. And if you have questions, reach out. I'd love to hear where you are in your journey and make sure that this is a right fit for you. I never want anyone to invest in something that is not going to progress them towards their own personal goals. And if growing your wholesale revenue on Fair is not it, then I will help point you in the direction that is it for you. So thank you so much for being here. If this episode was helpful, please share it. Leave a review if you haven't yet. It truly helps me grow this podcast more than you realize. And also remember, you don't have to sell differently because it's easy. You sell differently because it works and because it's built on your values and because you were made for more than just hoping that people find you and your beautiful products. So I'll see you next week. Until then, I'm cheering you on. All right, that's a wrap on today's episode of She Sells Differently. Friends, it would be a huge blessing to me if you would take 2 seconds to rate and subscribe to my podcast. New episodes drop every Wednesday. Until then, I'm cheering you on in your entrepreneurial journey. See you next time.